Hey, folks, my guest today is Joseph Kopser. He serves as an executive in residence at the McCombs School of Business. Prior to that, his company Ride Scout was acquired by Mercedes. He served in the Army for 20 years after graduating from West Point and Harvard and was recognized as the White House champion of change and clean energy and won the U.S. Data Innovation Award. He's co-author of Catalyst. He's an advisor to Clean Texas and is now building the MentorMethod.com. Joseph, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, Nathan, thanks for having me on.
Heck of a background, man. Thanks. First off, thanks for your service. And tell me more. What came first? Did you start at McCombs first and then develop the Mentor Method, or did you develop the Mentor Method and then they wanted to bring you in at McCombs?
Well, no. So Janice Omadeke really gets all the credit for the Mentor Method as the founder and CEO of it. So where I come into this is helping companies grow. So McCombs really was a stopover after I actually had ran for Congress here in Texas. I'm a builder and a problem solver. So when I see big ideas with cool people that I think I can help and add value, that's where I jump on board. So I've created an endowment at McCombs about 6-7 years ago when I sold my company to Mercedes. And so been at McCombs here and there. And actually now the bio can be updated. I'm at the president's office helping him with all things military veterans and their families at the University of Texas.
You can't help with football, can you?
No, not right now. We have a new coach for that, and let's see what we can do there.
Let's hope and pray. All right? I'm in Austin, so let's hope and pray. Yeah. All right. Tell me more about the first company. What was Ride Scout, and when did you sell that to Mercedes?
Yeah, so Ride Scout was at its simplest form, a two-sided marketplace, an aggregation play. It was created because I was tired of being stuck in traffic. And my background, I'm an aerospace engineer. And so I know there's lots of different ways to solve problems. And what I wanted to do is try to create the perfect set of combinations and permutations of the different modes of transportation to get me to and from work every day. And out of it, I started nights and weekends while I was still in the Army studying mobility and transportation, simultaneously learning how to build a business, then found the smart people around me, raised the money that I needed. And before we knew it, Uber and Lyft got huge. All the car companies freaked out for good reason in this new mobility space we're in. And they went on a buying spree. And so Mercedes bought my company, BMW bought some others, Ford got into that play. And it's just the classic build or buy scenario that young entrepreneurs face themselves with all the time.
How'd you use that to your advantage to maximize the exit price?
Well, the idea behind Ride Scout was really timeless. Everybody wants to spend less time in traffic and more time with family and friends. And then if you can introduce a really elegant way to show them all their options, what I was able to do better, faster than some of my peers, perhaps, was get those strategic relationships with the big cities, big companies, big other players and partners in this space, trying to do it all modes of transportation, while simultaneously running a really positive message. I mean, we were all about reducing carbon footprints. We're all about making life and quality of life better for people. And that combination of technology, team, and then, of course, the messaging that went along with it just appealed to Mercedes a lot more than a lot of their choices. And they had a lot of choices.
Yeah, I bet they did. Now, were you the founder of Ride Scout? And if so, when did you launch it?
Yeah, no. So we launched it founders can appreciate it started. Its genesis was in 2010. It wasn't really incorporated as an LLC until 2011, 12 timeframe. And we didn't really go full speed till I left the Army in 2013. And then we sold it about a year and a half later in September 2nd, 2014. But not that I remember those dates is specific, but you might imagine why.
Yeah, of course. Now, you mentioned you guys raised a bit there. How much did you raise?
So by the time we got into the acquisition talks, we'd raised about $2.1 million. I jokingly refer to that in today's dollars at about $5 or $6 million because cost of talent was a lot less 10 years ago than it is now. I feel for founders that are having to raise what they are today. That's why I love actually working with founders in multiple startups like the Mentor Method.
Well, and we'll pivot to Mentor Method in a second, but I imagine those investors that put in that capital, I mean, how did you get them over the hump of them saying, Joseph, build, let's go beat Uber and Lyft. Let's not sell too early. Go build $1 billion company.
Every founder will be faced, hopefully, with that dilemma, which is we've got traction. We've got a whole lot of users. We can see growth. At one point, I think we had several 100,000 downloads and we knew we had a nice trajectory, but we also knew Uber was out there and Lyft was out there. And ironically, at the time, they were just single mode ride for hire. If you go into their apps now, you can see they do so many different modes of transportation, which is where our vision was. but I didn't have the financial capital to go underwater like they have had to do for many years without really turning a profit. So for us at the time in 2014, first startup out the gate, an opportunity to create wealth for a lot of the original team members and investors. We made that decision, as a group and as a family. And then, we've got 7 years to look back on it. And I don't think anybody regrets selling when we did.
Now, is Craig Cummings associated with the company?
Oh, absolutely. Craig Cummings was my co-founder.
Okay, yeah. So this is what I was doing research. I was very confused because he's listed as the founder, and I'm going, where the hell is Joseph's name? Did you come in a little bit later or something?
No. We depending on how it was written or who wrote it, founder, co-founder of Ride Scout. So he heard the idea that I was talking about. I was still living in Washington, D.C. at the time.
Yep.
And he described and said, look, what that idea you're describing could be something that a lot of people would want to use, not just your own commute. And I said, yeah, but I don't really know how to build a business. He said, you stick to the idea of fixing this problem and learning how to solve it. And Craig, will help me build the business around me. And that's exactly what he did, which is, again, what I'm trying to do now to a whole next generation of entrepreneurs.
And then a subsidiary, the company that acquired you guys is called Reach now, which Mercedes was very much involved in. Is that accurate?
Yeah. At a few years later, then let's see. So Cardigo North America technically was the buying agent. Then that's a subset of Movil. Movil then merged with BMW, create Reach now. Whew, it's a hot mess to figure out.
All right, let's talk about MentorMethod. So is MentorMethod, again, what's your relationship there? You're not the founder. What are you?
No. So I'm employee number 2, however you want to look at it. Janice Omedeki gets all the credit for the idea and creating the initial momentum behind it. And then I came along as an advisor, but I was already fascinated by mentorship and leader development. It's my DNA in terms of helping to build the teams. And then as she went through sales meetings and then investor calls, she'd ask me to be on a few more, a little here, a little there. And after she had raised some money, she turned around and said, okay, no more being an advisor, come join the team. And I just couldn't say no.
Interesting. Okay. So who's paying for the app today?
Well, so right now, customers that we have, so here's what we've done. We've made a transition from being a one-person show that Janice was before. Now we've signed on names that people recognize like Lincoln Financial and Amazon. Before that, her original customers with their original format were companies like Deloitte. Twitter had a run with the program and the format at the time. It's evolved quite a bit since then, as any learning and growing CEO wants to do. We currently have a really cool contract with the Department of Education as a sub to a larger prime, trying to figure out how to inspire that next generation of students into business. And then, of course, the future is looking bright too, because we're caught with 3 things going on simultaneously. You have the George Floyd incident and the reaction to people in America saying this just doesn't sit right. You have companies making pledges about DEI and trying to do more, but they don't have a tool to do it. And we provide that tool to provide that mentorship. And then thirdly, we're in the middle of the Great Resignation. So we have people just hemorrhaging talent inside of their large organizations, Fortune 5,000 companies, and they're looking for a way to invest in their people. So I'm just as excited about being in the MentorMethod now at this opportunity during the Great Resignation as I was to be in Ride Scout 10 years ago at this time and place when suddenly we have all kinds of mobility, new startups popping up on the scene. And so I think that the MentorMethod shows even greater promise than Ride Scout did with me and Craig back in the day.
And all my SaaS founders listening into this, they always like to understand pricing and how someone is scaling, especially in a tool like this. So I imagine you're selling to universities on a per seat basis. And if so, what's the average customer paying you per month or per year to use the technology?
Yeah. So the way we do it right now is we're looking at doing this as a SaaS play more for larger companies. So think 200 employees or more. And then the pricing, as any SaaS play will want to do smartly, is try to be able to gauge it based on size of the customer. But you always have a fixed cost. And then, of course, you have the debt and the legacy that you have of all the money that you brought into it. So you have to be very careful. So if you're looking at something to the nature of like $20 per seat, per company, per month.
Is that what you're charging right now?
Well, it's evolving as it's going over time, but that's a easy way to start, just kind of figure in your brain as you think about who our clients are without going into the proprietary nature of what deals we've served with them. That's a generally easy way to think of it. And then, of course, you have on top of that all the other.
Yeah, but Joseph, sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but you don't.
No.
I don't want you to name customers or what an individual customer pays. I'm just trying to get a sense: is a university paying you $10,000 a year to service 1,000 campus residents, right, or something like that? What does that sort of sound like?
Oh yeah, but even much larger than that. Yeah, the deals.
Okay. So you have people paying you way more than 10 grand a month for the software.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 grand a month or 10 grand a year.
Well, it depends on the deal, but you're correct in distinguishing. Some are yearly subscription, others are monthly subscription. And then the easiest way to think of it is on average, somewhere around $10,000 or $15,000 a year, a month for some of the currents. And then some of the older clients are on a different pricing model because we had a different platform then.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's a great SaaS play because once you figure out the basic offering, then you can add on top of that other services, other customized features, other white labeling that allows you to go even beyond the current SaaS play.
Yep. So if you have though a bunch of customers that are paying like 10 grand a month, right? I mean, this is like $120,000 contracts a year. I mean, why go out and raise $1 million seed round just 3-4 months ago? Why not fund it with customers?
So absolutely, it's a great discussion point, which is you have to, and every SaaS founder has to figure out, can I hire enough talent off of the income that I'm generating now to give me a runway long enough to inspire confidence that we know we can do this? Or do I bring the money in now? Do I give up some of the equity and ownership in order to be able to really build it and point this rocket towards the moon? And Janice, I believe, made the right decision to be able to bring in the capital now to build out the team. Because the earliest versions of this, she basically built with a small offshore team. And what we want to do now is to be able to put the rocket fuel in and send it to the moon.
No, I get that. But there's the biggest, you know this from your first company, the most dilutive events for any SaaS founder is your co-founder and your pre-seed round. And you're usually both, the co-founders usually 40, 50%. And then that pre-seed round is usually 20, 25%. And then it goes down from there. So it's a big deal to take $1 million in June. And I guess you see where I'm getting confused. If you have customers paying you $100,000 a year already, why you can fund it from customer growth, or do you not? Are those like POCs? You haven't closed those contracts yet?
Oh yeah, no, those were closed deals and prior customers. What we're talking about doing is putting even more capital into it, because this goes to another point that you debate in SaaS plays, which is if I do take on capital now early on, can I build a team that can make enough of an offering and make this elegant enough that then I can go way beyond the current base? Because the kicker right now, the competition that we have in the marketplace is it still requires a bit of sales more than any company would want, because we have to overcome the legacy of inertia. Inertia being, my program's good enough now, I don't need to do anything else. And so breaking through that in the HR world and human resources is a tough play.
Well, it's not just that, but it's very rare you see apps like this get up to the point where they can command premium valuations so that the founders can preserve equity, because churn is usually an issue on these attribution and mentorship apps like this is very, very difficult. It's hard to code that into the UI. So, listen, we're out of time here, but quick rapid fire stuff here. How many folks are on the team today, full time?
About 11.
Okay, 11. How many engineers?
Well, right now, most of it is still offshore, but we're bringing that in with this current round.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. That makes sense. And then, is this you mentioned you're doing a bunch of stuff right now, but is this where you're spending the majority of your time on?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. And then how many customers are you serving today? They're onboarded, they're using you, they're happy.
Yeah. So 3 or 4 right now that are in the pipeline as we're rolling them out. And then like with any good play, we've got the pipeline that allows it to, hopefully double by, first half of 2022. And then a nice little quadruple after that, because again, as your listeners know, and from experience, it's about establishing that professional reputation in the marketplace, and more than just a one-off of the CEO being the best salesperson, which she is, but we've got to go beyond that point where it's the CEO as the salesperson.
Yeah, I know you mentioned 3 or 4 in the pipeline. Listen, we love celebrating pre-revenue companies. Everyone starts there. It sounds like you guys are pre-revenue today, but you have a good plans for 2022.
Oh, no. It's a considerable AAR right now with the contracts and the names that I mentioned earlier. We just hope to be able to take that and double it and keep doubling it. It's $100 million company if we play this right. I'm banking on Janice and the team doing great things.
Are you guys north of $1 million run rate today?
Almost.
Okay, you're flirting with it. Close. You got 15 days left in the year, Joseph.
Yeah. No, we will be on track for 1 million before too long, which is all a part of this pre-seed raise or series seed raise that we're on the road show now. So if you have folks that are listening into this.
Oh, how much are you raising?
Well, right now we're just socializing the idea. It's probably going to be about a $4 to $7 million raise. Janice herself is only the 93rd Black woman in America to ever raise more than $1 million of venture capital. Oh, wow. So it's pretty exciting time.
That's very cool. All right, very cool. So targeting 4 million there. I'll make sure to make a note of that one. See, that's great. All right, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book.
Favorite business book. You can't nail me down to one, but if I got to pick one, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's the absolute classic. It's a little bit dated, but if you read a modern version, it's a must do. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying? Oh man, who am I not following or studying right now? My obviously Janice is who I'm spending the most time with, but in terms of who I'm trying to learn from the most, well, I just got to get an easy answer to throw out there right now, which is Elon Musk, because the guy is causing so much turmoil, both good and bad, which is what disrupting entrepreneurs do. So he's probably who I'm following the most right now. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the Mentor Method? Favorite online tool? I happen to love Trello just because of the ability to be able to coordinate across so many different groups. The team is really starting to expand their use of Notion. So I'd put Trello and Notion kind of 1-2 right there. Okay. And number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night? You got to sleep. I get 7 to 8 hours a night. If you don't have the energy to tackle these problems and you want to go around and pound your chest that you only need 4 hours a night, go ahead and do that. But I don't know, and have seen very few people in history that they can sustain that over time. And what's your situation, Joseph? Married, single, kiddos? I'm happily married, 27 years. I got 3 daughters, 27, 24, 21. Amazing. And busy guy. Spend a lot of time with them. How old are you? I'm 50. 50. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20. Do not think that the people that are out there accomplishing all these things that you read about in history or current events are somehow superheroes. They are literally as equipped and capable as you are. It's a matter of how much you're willing to study and apply yourself and work at it. Luck certainly plays a factor, but luck always favors the prepared. But I have met now what I call a lot of famous people, and they turn out to be just as normal as I had with all of my insecurities and all of my problems growing up. Guys, there you have it. The Mentor Method launched in 2015. Employee number 2, Joseph, joined after a storied history selling and growing his own company. They raised $1 million pre-seed round earlier this year, targeting a $4 million seed round now today. We will see what happens. Joseph, thank you for taking us to the top. Thanks for having me on your show.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.